Welcome to this video session. This presentation and demo will explore the Model Context Protocol, or MCP, and its application in accessing MySQL databases. You can use MCP and what we talk about here to access PostgreSQL, Oracle, SQL Server, and other database systems. We will cover the fundamentals of MCP, look at setup procedures, basic operations for effective integration. This video is a presentation and a demonstration of the MCP concept. If you are not interested in the presentation and just desire to move on to the demonstration, please do so when you're ready. We will begin with an introduction to MCP, discussing its purpose and various use cases. Next, we'll guide you through the initial setup for using MCP with MySQL, including installation requirements. Following that, we'll explore basic operations. Then I will conduct a demonstration. Afterwards, a brief conclusion with what you will want to repeatedly get to know more about. I had planned on including the items in red, but elected to give more of a mention about Claude. So, to keep this video confined to a reasonable time, use your search engine to find information on the subjects that are in red. Again, MCP is short for Model Context Protocol. It is a framework designed to streamline interactions with databases by providing a standardized way of managing data context. It simplifies processes and enhances data handling in applications. MCP aims to facilitate seamless communication between applications and databases by abstracting the complexities involved in data manipulation. It allows developers to focus on application logic rather than database intricacies. Test analysts benefit as well. They can focus on verification and validation instead of test script development. And data analysts don't need to be SQL experts to conduct data analytics with the use of tools that support MCP. I have begun writing some MCP articles on my website. Go there to www.softwaretestingqa.com and use the articles link on the main page to navigate to my MCP articles. Hopefully that will be more help to you. MCP can be applied in various scenarios, such as web applications, data analytics tools such as MySQL, and enterprise-level systems where efficient database access is crucial. Its versatility makes it suitable for both simple and complex data interactions. In this video, I am just going to demonstrate read access, but you can conduct CRUD activities as well. That makes MCP powerful. To effectively use MCP with MySQL, setting up your development environment correctly is essential. I had problems at first getting started. Since I had MySQL already up and running, I just needed an AI tool and an MCP server. I highly recommend Claude Desktop for the client and a working MCP server for MySQL. This section will provide information you need to prepare your system for seamless integration. Begin your work with MCP by ensuring your development environment is equipped with the necessary tools and configurations. This includes selecting a suitable MCP client like Claude, installing MySQL, and ensuring compatibility with MCP libraries by using an MCP server like MCP Server MySQL. Be aware that there are several MCP servers designed for MySQL. I tried several unsuccessfully before using smithery.io to install MCP Server MySQL. Smithery helps you with Claude configuration, which is important for connection to your database. It's essential. For those looking to increase your knowledge about MCP and how it works with MySQL, or for those who are just looking, please join me in my lab. I want to show a previous session I had with Claude, dialoguing with one of my MySQL databases, and I will follow up with a live session doing primarily the same AI prompt. Let's enter the lab. We are in the first part of the session, the lab session, and what I want to show you here, first of all, is that we're using a product called Claude Desktop, and that's what you're seeing right now. This is the GUI display, and you can see that there are information on both sides of the screen that looks something like ChatGPT or Copilot. These are tools that allow you to do prompting to get information from the internet. Well, this tool is more specific to local processing, where it will connect with a particular application and then glean information, if you will, from that source. In this particular session, what I'm going to show you here is a session that already transpired, and I made one prompt. Tell me about my TakeStockDB database. Now, I'm planning to go down the line to show you what came out from this one prompt. But real quick, let me show you just a couple of items about this particular tool, Claude Desktop. I'll talk about more about that one when I get into my next video session. But for right now, I'm just going to give you a couple of highlights. If I go to this burger menu here, I can click File Settings and show you that there's some information that you can see regarding this particular tool, and more specifically, the developer. This is where it shows you what tools, what MCP servers this particular instance of Claude can connect with. This was installed, MCP Server MySQL, and also MCP Server Playwright. Well, we're not going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about that one in a subsequent video. But in this particular video, I'm more interested in talking to you about MCP Server MySQL. And this is all the information. You can see that the status is it's running. All right, let's get out of this and go to this particular information. Let me start talking to you about what happened when I submitted this one prompt in Claude. Tell me about my take stock DB database. This is one of the databases that are in my MySQL environment. And then it says, I'll help you explore your database. Let me start by checking what databases are out there. And so you get this particular query is what it drafted, and that is part of what Claude does is to create these JSON command files, if you will. It may have several keyword value pairs, which is information that's a particular command. So it's going to send a command called show databases. That's actually an SQL command. It generated from my prompt. And then it goes, the response we got is that it told us all of the databases that are out there, and it happened to find that my take stock DB database is there. So it says, great, I can see your database is there. All right, then it issues yet another command to not only show tables, but let's use that particular database. And the response was, there was a problem. It says you have an error. Well, I didn't know anything about it. It went on and says, let's fix that syntax. And so it then sends another one, show tables from take stock DB. So it made a more specific command, and that command was one that MySQL understands. So then we got information. Excellent. Now let me examine the structure of each table. So then it issues another command, describe. Okay. Then let me use a different approach to get the table structures. So it had a problem again, but it went on and recovered from that problem. And let's see, I think it finally did a select on my take stock DB. And the response was, we got the columns. Okay. Let me move on. And it says, now, let me also check how many records are in each table to give you a complete picture. So it gave me a list of all the columns that are in each table that are in that database, take stock DB. And now it's issuing another command. Let's select from a particular table and count the records. Well, from each of the tables and count the records. It says, oh, the response, I'm sorry, I should look, I think it's further down here. We can see how many records or rows exist in each of the tables. This is a lot of information that I didn't specifically ask for. I just made a general request. What do you know about my database? All right, and so let's close that one. And it says your database appears to be a comprehensive gaming simulation system. I never told it that. It figured that out, likely for some kind of economic or business simulation game. And then here's what I found. The database contains 4 main tables with a total of 19 records. And then it tells me the game table has 1, and it goes into some more detail about the game table. Then the game goals table, and it goes into more detail about it. And so on to each table until it finally says key insights. This database supports what appears to be an economic simulation game where and then it lists some things that are pretty good. It really did some good analysis work. The data suggests this could be an educational or training tool for economic financial literacy. This is absolutely amazing. It's correct. Would you like me to explore any specific aspect of your database in more detail, such as viewing sample data from any particular table or analyzing relationships between the tables? So all of this can be done just using Claude prompts or prompt engineering, as you might have heard it when you're talking about ChatGPT or Copilot or some of the other AI tools. I think that is a great tool, and I think it really does a great job with the little information I gave it. It went out there and looked at that information, and when it had problems, it corrected itself. That's awesome. Well, this ends part one. We'll start up with part two momentarily. All right, we're back in the lab. We're looking at Claude again. We're at the end of the Claude process here. I'm going to start a new chat. Right here, click on this button. There may be a bug in Claude. What just happened when I switched from going to the existing prompt to get a new conversation going, it then lost connection with the database system. The database system actually went down. MySQL went down. So I had to restart it and restart the Claude instance. So here we are at a restart, very beginning. We're not in the middle of an existing conversation. And so I'm just going to go ahead and enter a question. Can you tell me about my Take Stock 1.0 database? So I'm asking about a different one to see what information it provides on that one. I just hit the enter key, accepted the prompt, and now you can see the actual process as it moves on. So it started with a show database again. It's going and accessing that database and says, now let me examine the structure. Let me get a count of records. So it's doing something similar to what it did before. My question is pretty much the same, only it's a different database. And here's what I found. 25 tables in that database. That's a good sized database. And it seems like it has an active game session. Currently has 2 active players. Game is in ready status. 13 moves. So this particular database is covering information for an active game that was in progress, and it was in its 13th move, 7 rounds. And we've got cash on hand information, stock investment information, and so on. That's really neat that it's able to pull that information out of the database without me telling it specifically what I want. So it's given me information about the database, given me some features that it's identified, the stock market information, what types of stocks I have identified in there. So this appears to be a sophisticated educational simulation designed to teach financial literacy, investment strategies, and economic principles through gameplay. The system tracks detailed player progression and economic metrics over time. That's all accurate information. I once again am amazed. Hopefully, this gave you some idea of what you can expect, what you will see when you enter a dialogue that pulling information from your database. I thank you for your time. Now, in conclusion, thanks for joining me for this video. I hope this presentation and demonstration gave you a good look at using the Model Context Protocol to access MySQL databases. I trust you are armed with the information necessary to set up your local machine for dialoguing with your local databases. Pleasant visions.